Hey, what's going on, fam? So I know it's been a minute since I've done a video, but you know, that's how I've been lately. I've been real busy working a lot, working multiple jobs, etc. So it's been hard to make time for making videos. But that's not the topic of today's video. Today's video is what's happening to our society. So we've already lived in a deranged, anti-black society since the forming of America. But what I've always known, and I know I haven't really talked about this much, but a lot of the things that they start out doing to black people in particular spread to the whole society. And so if you're a white person listening to this video, if you happen to, which I know I have almost no white people listening to my videos, but if any of you happen to, whatever they start targeting us with, it'll eventually spread to you. Um, whatever it is, you police brutality, whatever you want to say. We're the testing ground for that. I'll just put it as that. But what's a problem or a big problem in our society is, regardless of what race you are, we live in a society of a lot of sheeple and a lot of idiots. So, as you guys know, there's a lot of talk about quote unquote misinformation, and they're deplatforming and censoring people for spreading quote unquote misinformation. And there's also a lot of mandates going around. Now, I'm going to try to be very careful in what I say, but I can only be so careful and still say what I'm trying to say. So, I would recommend that people download this video, especially if you are someone who appreciates what I have to say. I recommend that you download this video because it may not be up long. But because we live in a society of sheeple and idiots, we have a lot of people accepting the dangerous stuff that is going on in America. As much as America has denied black people freedom, and again, this goes to my point about what starts with us spreads to everybody. Now they're just denying general freedoms to everyone, regardless of what race you are. So, first of all, fam, let's talk about this quote unquote misinformation that they're censoring people for, and the danger of allowing a central power to be the decider of what's true and what's not true. First of all, let's talk about misinformation and Donald Trump and this whole Russiagate Russia campaign thing. I made videos about that a while ago, over a year ago, or at this point now. Family, do you know that Hillary Clinton's lawyer, one of the main people who started and promoted the Russiagate, and this is not, y'all know I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I'm not some pro MAGA guy. I think Donald Trump is an orange racist. But I talked about the Russiagate stuff, and I made a video about that. Do you guys know that Hillary Clinton's lawyer, who has turned out to be one of the main people who promoted and started the Russiagate campaign, is being prosecuted by Biden's Department of Justice? Fam, let's think about it. They did all this propaganda about Mueller, and when it came time for him to finish his investigation, he had a nothing burger. He couldn't do anything to Donald Trump, couldn't touch him. The whole thing was a nothing burger, even though the liberal media still tried to make it seem like there was something there. There was nothing there. That's why Donald Trump never got prosecuted. But now, Hillary Clinton's lawyer is being prosecuted for lying to the FBI about the Russiagate thing and being one of the main people to start and promote the Russiagate thing, because Hillary Clinton's campaign was desperate to not admit that she was such a poor and terrible candidate that she lost to someone like Donald Trump. That's a massive embarrassment. All you people out there who have this deranged Donald Trump fear and hate, it's because Donald Trump was a clown, right? And Hillary Clinton lost to this man. And in order to cover up the failure of a candidate like Hillary Clinton, they promoted this Russiagate thing. Yet, no one's been deplatformed, no one's been suspended for spreading quote unquote misinformation about Donald Trump and Russiagate. Yet, the very same people who promote Russiagate are trying to decide who are trying to say that they are the ones who can decide truth, and they are the ones promoting suspending people for going against what they say is true. And family, anyone, anywhere can say whatever they want is true. If a man is cheating on his wife, he can say that it's not true. He can say the truth is that he's faithful. That would be a lie. And that's basically the essence of what we're doing. We're allowing people who have shown themselves to be liars to decide what is and is not true. This is why you don't ever allow a central power to be the decider of truth. Everyone, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, almost everyone agrees that North Korea is an oppressive regime. If those of you who do any research or have any knowledge of the world, you know, countries like China and North Korea, they heavily censor and restrict their internet. And Americans especially have, of all political stripes, have criticized countries like China and North Korea. And North Korea even more so than China. North Korea, you as a North Korean citizen, you can't look up anything at all that says anything bad or negative about North Korea or the North Korean leader. You can't say anything negative about the North Korean leader or their government. You will be thrown in prison and most likely executed. And the America, the bastion of freedom, has and American citizens have long criticized North Korea for being oppressive. But now America is slowly creeping towards North Korea because, hey, why criticize the North Korean regime when they're just protecting their people from misinformation? I mean, I think a lot of American citizens owe North Korea an apology, owe China an apology. China has blocked Google for years, wouldn't let their citizens access Google for years, and then even when they did, they cut a deal with Google that what comes up in the results has to be heavily controlled and restricted in China. And I mean, hey, why not? I mean, I guess they're just protecting their citizens from misinformation, right? The North Korean leader, he's controlled what his people say and think for so long and controlled that the information that they have access to because he was just protecting his people from misinformation. I mean, hey, we just trust the central power to decide what is and what isn't misinformation. Another example, fam. Even before the virus and everything, there were people on Instagram getting suspended for talking about how Joe Biden was a primary promoter of the 96 crime bill. They would suspend people's accounts and say that that's quote unquote misinformation, even though it's undeniably true. You see where I'm going with this? Centering a central power as the decider of what's true and what's not true leads you down a very dangerous road. Not only that, it's very childish and very condescending to decide that people need to be protected from misinformation. If I can convince someone that I'm Superman, You don't need to make laws to outlaw me spreading that misinformation. If somebody's that stupid, let them be that stupid. Why is it that those of you who don't fall for the information, you don't need to be protected from misinformation because you just obey CNN and MSNBC and whatever other news outlet you watch? So you're the special one who's so smart. You're the special adult who's so smart to not fall for misinformation. Why can't other people have that same liberty to have the chance to fall or quote unquote not fall for misinformation? Why does everyone have to be forced to agree with you? That reeks of insecurity. It reeks of sheep mentality, and it reeks of insecurity. And the irony is the main people who are who fall for the propaganda of protecting people from misinformation. You're the main ones you're the number one people who fall for misinformation. Every day you turn on that TV and you obey and get all your information from them, and whatever they tell you is gospel God's truth. You are the number one victim of misinformation. We can go on and on. George Bush spread mass misinformation about weapons of mass destruction. Are we going to deplatform George Bush and every other Republican and every other Democrat who supported and promoted and backed the weapons of mass destruction misinformation campaign, the very same government we're supposed to trust now as the arbiters of truth? We're going to allow them to tell the entire planet and the entire country what truth is and what truth is not? This is about a mass campaign of breaking people into obedience so that they can push the line further and further and break what the little rights that people have left more and more. Because I believe the American government admires countries like North Korea and the amount of control they have over their people. All of this babble about democracy, it's hypocrisy. And I wasn't trying to rhyme there, but hey, family, we're approaching a very dangerous time. Now I want to talk about the main thing that people are talking about misinformation now with the jab. And I'm just going to ask a few questions because a couple of things that I've noticed is that people will flip and twist history and act like the history that used to be never existed. For example, the Tuskegee experiment. You had 300 black men in a small town, and you expect me to believe that all these black men just had syphilis on their own. This concentrated population just had syphilis on their own and it wasn't given to them intentionally. Although what I had learned all this time up until then was something very different. But now all of a sudden I'm supposed to believe that that was never true, and I'm dumb and I'm an idiot if I ever believed that those men were given syphilis. And that's another thing, family. You notice whenever someone speaks out against the jab, people just attack them, call them stupid, idiots, retards, but they don't actually refute what they say. They just engage in insults because you can't really engage what they say. So you can only engage in insults and project and make yourself feel better. But I digress. Now with the vaccines, all of a sudden vaccines have never produced immunity, even though me and all of you who are honest with you know that we were taught from in science class from elementary school that a vaccine is where they give you a weaker version of the disease, your antibodies fight it, and it produces immunity. Now all of a sudden vaccines have never ever been about immunity. They even recently changed the definition. The CDC even recently changed the definition of the vaccine from producing immunity to quote unquote protection. And so now all of a sudden you're an idiot if you ever thought a vaccine was meant to produce immunity, even though that was the CDC's definition up until about a month ago. You see what's going on? Not only that, you're not allowed to talk about any of the side effects, even though there are people out here who were pro vaccine and gotten a vaccine and have experienced sudden hearing loss, sudden blood clots, etc., etc. But hey, I'm trying to be careful, so I'm not saying that's caused by the vaccine. But these are things that people are experiencing shortly after getting the vaccine. There are people who die of COVID within 2 weeks of getting the vaccine, and they're being classified as unvaccinated. Let's go to sports real quick. You have players like Randy Gregory of the Cowboys, the Saints coaching staff, and many other players around the NFL who catch the disease, who are vaccinated, and they're held away from their teams. Now, the the deciders of what's true and what's not true, who are the best people to think for everyone else, are telling us that now that at first they admitted that hey, the vaccine does not stop spread or catching, but what it does supposedly stop is how sick you'll get. If you'll get deathly ill, it'll prevent you from getting severely ill if you do catch COVID. Now that shifted and morphed into, oh yeah, no, no, because that was a very weak. I guess they realized how quickly people were dismantling um, that as an excuse to get a vaccine, because that just becomes someone's personal choice if they want to take that risk and get possibly severely ill by not taking the vaccine. That's their choice, because other than that, there's no difference between them and a vaccinated person. Now they've shifted the goalposts to say, oh, and everyone wants to pretend now that if you get the vaccine, you can't. You're less likely to spread it. You're somehow less contagious than people who do have the vaccine. Yet the whole idea around the mandates, even Joe Biden said himself, is protecting the vaccinated from the unvaccinated. But how? If you're somehow more protected from the vaccine and you're less likely to spread it, why do you need to be protected from the unvaccinated? Isn't that the whole reason why you're mandating the vaccine? Supposedly is because it makes you less likely to spread it and catch it, but also at the same time it doesn't. Family, do you guys see the double talk that's going on here? So if I'm not vaccinated, I'm a danger to other people who are vaccinated. Yet all of a sudden, if I get vaccinated, I'm no longer a danger because I can't catch it or spread it. But if someone beside me it is not, if I get vaccinated, someone beside me is not, now that my ability to not catch it and spread it is diminished, and I can catch it and spread it. So which one is it? Can I catch it and spread it vaccinated, or can I not? Which one is it? Why is it dependent on whether or not some other person is vaccinated? Isn't that the point of me getting vaccinated, is that I'm supposedly protected from the disease? But I'm allegedly, so I am protected, but I'm not. And I was talking about the NFL and the Randy Gregory and the Saints coaching staff and some other people. When these players and these coaches who are vaccinated catch the disease, they're held away from their teams. They're not allowed to participate in team activities. They go into protocols. But why? They're vaccinated, so they're less of a danger, right? They can't spread it or catch it, but they can spread it and catch it. It doesn't make any sense. We're entering a very, very dangerous time, and it's being allowed by the sheeple society that we live in. We have a lot of idiots, a lot of obeyers and worshipers of TV and celebrities, and political celebrities, and they will do whatever these people tell them to do. And it will not stop with the jab. It will not. It will not stop with the jab. This is just the first step to changing our society. Another thing that people criticize China for is something called social credit, where basically what you're allowed to do in life, what you're allowed to purchase, where you're allowed to eat, etc., is decided how obedient and how much of a go along person you are with what society says. Like I said, with the example of weapons of mass destruction. If you were someone, if weapons of mass destruction was something that happened in China, and they had, and it was the same lie that it was in America, and they had a social credit system, you wouldn't be able to go to certain bars. You wouldn't be able to eat at certain restaurants. You may not even be able to shop at certain grocery stores if you spoke against what turned out to actually be a lie of the weapons of mass destruction, because whatever the government says, you obey and you go along with, or you will have bad social credit. And that's what we're progressing towards. So anyone who's ever had anything to say about North Korea or China, you owe North Korea and China an apology, and any other dictatorship, because they were just protecting their citizens from misinformation, right? Just like America's doing now. Again, this started back during, which really started with Alex Jones, but then it really started to kick up during the campaign when people were spreading truth about Joe Biden, and that was being labeled, and Joe Biden's son, which also has been authenticated, the stuff on the laptop that the New York Post got deplatformed for, that laptop controversy has been authenticated. These are the people that we're allowing to decide, which people who we've caught in bold-faced lies are the ones who are being allowed to decide what's true and what's not true. We're entering a very dangerous time in our society. I don't know what else to say other than people are just that stupid. Like I said, download this video because it may not be up long. Um, but we're entering a very dangerous time, especially when we're allowing certain people, certain figures, to basically be a ministry of truth and decide what's true or not true. People who we've known and caught to be liars, we're allowing these social media companies, they're just acting as a proxy for the government. This is fascism. According to Mussolini's definition, it's the perfect binding of and my apologies for the cough, family. I know some people make jokes, oh, that's COVID. Family, COVID has been around for 2 years now, almost 2 full years now. We're a few months away from 2 full years because it really started became a thing in late 2019, even though we didn't take it serious until early 2020. I have yet to be sick to the point of hospitalization. I have yet to be severely sick. If I've had it, the most I've had is the quote unquote cough you just heard, which I've been coughing for a while, even before COVID exists. So I have my doubts. But if I've caught it, I haven't gotten sick. For this disease to be so deadly, if I've caught it, I haven't gotten sick beyond a cough. And again, people want to talk about, oh, you put other people at risk. So why is the NFL being allowed to spread misinformation by putting vaccinated coaches and players who catch COVID in protocols? Why? They should be fine. They're vaccinated. It should only be unvaccinated people who catch COVID who should be put in protocols, because the vaccinated people, they can't spread it or catch it, but they can. But hey, I mean, I'm stupid for not understanding that. So anyway, fam, I don't have much more to say. Y'all get the point. Hopefully, if you don't, go back to watching CNN. But anyway, that's another video. Like, share, subscribe, and peace.